NCAA does not know that piece of information right now. They have never, ever heard that because they didn't do their homework. It's a sloppy investigation.
Here is a story of how one of the most electrifying players college football has ever seen lost his Heisman Trophy while his alma mater was given 4 years of probation and forced to vacate its last 2 wins of the 2004 season and all wins from the 2005 season. That included 2 conference championships and 1 national title. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the story of how Reggie Bush lost the Heisman Trophy. Reginald Alfred Bush II was born on March 2, 1985 in San Diego, California to a 19-year-old mother and 20-year-old father. One thing young parents often struggle with is balancing their new child with the demands of the relationship. Not long after, the couple would call it quits. Reggie's mom, Denise, would assume full custody and move to her mother's home in the Skyline area, a region of San Diego that Reggie would later sport under his eyes during games at the University of Southern California. With Reggie Bush Sr. out of the picture, Reggie Jr. and his mother would move to Imperial Beach, California, where she soon met a man at a dance club named Lamar Griffin. By the time young Reggie was 2, his mom and Lamar Griffin would marry, bringing much needed stability and paternal guidance to Reggie's life. Griffin would introduce Bush to Pop Warner football at the age of 9, and it was immediately evident that he could run like no other. His parents compared him to a high-speed wind-up doll. There was even a game that Reggie rushed for 544 yards and 8 touchdowns. At this point, Denise and Lamar knew that Reggie had a special physical talent. By the time high school rolled around, Reggie was already a full-blown star, and by the time he was a sophomore at Helix High School in La Mesa, California, the Helix High School Commanders had won the San Diego Section Division II championship in the year of 2000, and the spotlight was now on Helix. That featured future NFL Pro Bowler Alex Smith, and of course the human highlight film that is Reggie Bush. But Reggie's junior year was even better, as he rushed for 2,200 yards and a total of 34 touchdowns en route to another state title. Bush was named the San Diego Section's Offensive Player of the Year, and the eyes of all college coaches in the United States were now on Bush. Bush continued his dominance in his senior season with 1,691 rushing yards and 27 touchdowns. Although many people don't know, Bush was just as talented on the track as he was on the field. He placed second in the 2002 CIF California State 100-meter dash, and he clocked a 10.72 and once posted a 10.42, the fastest time in the state of California at that time. Rivals had listed Reggie Bush as the #1 running back in the country for the class of 2003. All big-time schools came knocking, but Bush only entertained Washington and USC. But after visiting sunny Los Angeles and meeting with Pete Carroll, Reggie committed to continue the legacy of great running backs at the University of Southern California. Pete Carroll planned to use him as a 5-way threat, to carry the ball, to catch the ball, to throw the ball, to return the ball, and in some circumstances, push the ball. When Bush stepped foot on the University of Southern California campus, it was all business. Although Reggie did not see the field a bunch as a true freshman, sharing carries with Lindell White and Herschel Dennis. When he did touch the ball, it was usually because USC was blowing out most of the Pac-10 and the reserves would get a chance to get some stats. One of Bush's biggest plays of the season was a 97-yard kickoff return against UCLA, showing the explosion of athleticism that he became famous for. Bush finished his freshman campaign with 521 rushing yards, 314 receiving yards, 492 return yards, and 8 total touchdowns. That was good enough for a consensus first-team freshman All-American nod, not to mention USC won the 2003 AP National Championship against LSU. The 2004 season would see Bush taking a major step forward after Herschel Dennis lost his starting spot due to being suspended the first 2 games due to a criminal investigation. Sadly for Herschel Dennis, Reggie Bush and Lindell would never relent their performance in the backfield. During the first game of the 2004 season, Bush had a 3-touchdown outing, and Pete Carroll knew Reggie would have a featured role in the USC backfield until further notice. Nothing else out of the ordinary would happen in the 2004 season, that is until Bush started housing punt returns. In fact, Reggie had a punt return touchdown in back-to-back weeks, and Reggie put icing on the 2004 season with a 200-yard, 2-touchdown performance against UCLA in a 2004 Pac-10 championship game. USC would also win the national championship that year, where Bush was responsible for 142 all-purpose yards. 2004 concluded with Bush finishing 5th in Heisman voting, and oddly enough, Alex Smith, Reggie's high school quarterback, was a finalist as well. Now imagine that. And now, the season that made Bush an icon, the tarnished 2005 season. Reggie finally eclipsed Lindell White to become the team's #1 back. Reggie went on a tear, rushing for over 100 yards in 5 straight weeks, but the game that made number 5 a national treasure and would later win him the Heisman Trophy was against the 16th ranked Fresno State Bulldogs. And if you have never seen Reggie's highlights during this game, prepare to be amazed. It was like magic. Fresno State's defenders just could not get him on the ground. Everyone watching stood up every time Reggie touched the ball. Every kid wanted to play running back and wear number 5 because of this game. Reggie would finish the game with over 500 all-purpose yards and a 50-42 Trojan victory. The next game, Bush had another fantastic outing with 272 all-purpose yards in the Pac-10 championship game. And Reggie played well in the national championship game against a Vince Young-led Texas team, although it wasn't enough to win USC their 3rd national championship in a row. 2005 would conclude with Bush taking home the most prestigious award in college football. However, an estranged sports agent wanted that legacy torn down. While Reggie was making history at USC, his family had allegedly moved into a 3,000 square foot home that overlooked the Sweetwater Reservoir that was purchased by Michael Chief Michaels for $757,237 in April of 2005. Michaels is a business partner of Lloyd Lake, who were trying to set up a sports marketing company called New Era Sports and Entertainment. Their company hoped to bring Reggie on board as a client, but Bush chose otherwise. And by NCAA rules, athletes and/or their relatives or friends cannot accept benefit from any person who represents any individual in the marketing of his or her athletic ability. It was unclear if Reggie's parents had paid rent to live in the home, and if they had paid anything under market value, that would be considered a gift, and that was against the NCAA's rules. Now, it was known that Bush's family was not well off, which meant that they could not afford to rent a home with a near $800,000 market value. However, it was never proven that the family paid or did not pay the rent. That is, until Lloyd Lake would later sue the family after Bush did not sign with his agency. Lake wanted to recoup $291,600 in cash, living arrangements, and other benefits provided to Bush between November 2004 and January 2006. Lake and Michaels would admit Bush's family failed to pay more than $50,000 in rent. This case would result in years of arbitration. The NCAA reached a conclusion in 2010 when they announced sanctions against USC. The NCAA found that Bush had received lavish gifts from Lake and his partner Michael Michaels from at least December 2004 onward, including a limo ride to the 2005 Heisman Trophy presentation. As a result, USC was given 4 years probation, forced to vacate its last 2 wins of the 2004 season, as well as all of its wins in the 2005 season. The Trojans were also banned from bowl games in 2010 and 2011 and lost 30 scholarships over 3 years. And lastly, the NCAA forced USC to disassociate itself from Bush. Amidst reports that the Heisman Trophy Trust would strip his award, Bush voluntarily forfeited his title as the 2005 winner. Over the years, many people believed that Reggie Bush shouldn't have had to give up his Heisman Trophy, or the entire legacy that he built at USC with Pete Carroll. The early 2000s were a special time for the University of Southern California. They had 2 Heisman Trophy winners and almost had a three-peat of the national title. They were actually Alabama before Alabama was Alabama. But neither here nor there. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how Reggie Bush lost the Heisman Trophy. If you stay to the end, I sincerely thank you. I ask that you like and subscribe and perhaps share with a friend. I will be doing documentaries like this weekly, and guys, stay tuned. Thank you.